Okay, thank you all for gathering here. We're going to play Dream Askew today. We are live, so there may be people watching on YouTube or not. We won't really know until afterwards when we've exited the game. But first, I just wanted to open with a quick round of introductions. So maybe we'll go down the line, and when it's your turn, just mention your name, what pronouns you use, and a little bit about like how your day is going, so we have a bit of like context for what energy you're coming into the game with. So I'll go ahead and start. My name's Avery. I designed Dream Askew. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my first event of the day. I am sick. This is about my 14th day being sick, and so I'm a little, I might be a little bit spacey from time to time, and hopefully everyone will bear with me. I'm not sure if we all have the same kind of order of names on the screen, so I'll just maybe roll call people. Garrett?
Hello, my name is Garrett. I'm sick for only 4 days, so I can consider myself lucky. But I brought all the energy of the day to this game because I'm very curious about Dream Askew. He and him. I'm looking forward to play with you. I'm in Guatemala, so my connection is not perfect all the time. I sometimes might miss something. Also, I'm not a native English speaker, but I work in English and it should be fine.
Awesome. Welcome. Maybe now's a good time to mention my connection was spotty at times last night when I was playing another. If that happens, I'll just try dropping all of my video and we'll see if that works well. But moving on down the line, Chris.
Hi, my name is Chris Miller, he, him. This is also my first event of the day. I just woke up about 45 minutes ago or so. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning here. I am also sick for like 6 or 7 days now, so we're all just in the same boat. But I'm very excited. I've been very super curious about Dream Askew for a long time, and I was in Monster Hearts last night with Avery, and I'm very excited to do Dream Askew tonight or this morning. So, yeah.
Awesome. Welcome back. How about you, Patrick?
Hi, I'm Patrick, he, him. It is the relative beginning of my day here on the West Coast of the United States, so I've had my coffee. I should theoretically be awake.
Awesome, and welcome. Tyler?
My name's Tyler Lominack. My pronoun's he, him. I've been playing all day today so far and had some amazing experiences, and I am really looking forward to this one. Everything about it just seems fascinating.
Awesome, thank you. And Yoshi?
Hi, yeah, my name's Yoshi. I go with he, him pronouns. This is my first game of the day, but I'm really excited. I've heard a ton of good things about it, and so I'm a little bit on the low energy, but really excited about the game and looking forward to it.
Awesome, cool. So we've all got our display the name display up except for Garrett. So what we're going to do is once we have our character name, we're going to update it for the top line is our character's name and character's pronoun, and then below that our bottom line is our name and pronoun. And so hopefully that doesn't get confusing for us all. Now that we got introductions out of the way, we're going to talk a little bit about what Dream Askew is. So first of all, it's a diceless, MC-less game about being in a community. It's a queer community after the collapse of civilization, or perhaps during the collapse of civilization. And we have like a half-page long pitch to read. So I shared with all of you a Google Drive folder that has 2 files in it, and one of them is called Dream Askew Playtest Kit, because we're going to be playtesting some revisions to the game. And so I was wondering if anyone would be into volunteering to read on the very first page of that PDF, just the section called the pitch.
I'd be happy to. Okay. Dream Askew gives us ruined buildings, ruined faces, loaded handguns, psychic powers, heartbroken underdogs, and turbulent skies, asking, what do you do next? Imagine that the collapse of civilization didn't happen everywhere at the same time. Instead, it's happening in waves. Every day, more people fall out of the society intact. Margins of that society, finding solidarity, love, and meaning in the strangest of places. Apocalypse didn't come for us first, but it did come for us. Gangs roam the apocalyptic wasteland, and scarcity is becoming the norm. The world is getting scarier, and just beyond our everyday perception, howling and hungry, there exists a psychic maelstrom. We banded together to form a queer enclave, a place to live, sleep, and hopefully heal. More than ever before, each of us is responsible for the survival and fate of our community. What lies in the rubble? For our queer enclave, could it be utopia?
Awesome. So this is the basic setup of the game, and in terms of like what the apocalyptic feeling of our community and our landscape is like, we're going to find out in a few minutes. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into introducing each of the character archetypes. There's 6 different types of character. Each of us will play one of them. In addition to that, there's 6 different setting elements, and each of us will initially be playing one of them, and over time they'll rotate. So we're all kind of responsible for a specific chunk of emceeing the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around and each take a turn reading one of the character archetypes, italicized flavor text, and then each take a turn reading one of the setting elements. So to make sure that there's no confusion, what I'm going to do is in the group chat, I'm going to write the order of who is introducing things. And then we're just going to go straight down the line. The character you introduce isn't necessarily going to be the character you play. You're just doing the dramatic voiceover for it. So starting with Garrett introducing the iris. And when you introduce it, just say that the title as well. So introducing the iris.
I'm introducing touches us all, but the iris has been indelibly marked and changed. Their gifts are unprecedented and what is everyone so afraid of? The iris is an unnerving individual. Their power is mysterious, ephemeral.
All right, so Garrett, for my side, it seemed like you were cutting out a bit there. And I might suggest, just to make it easier, if you turn off your video, we'll probably get a better audio channel from you.
Maybe, yeah. Or I turn off your video as well.
Perfect, yeah. Okay, we can just keep moving down the line. We've also got the italicized text there, so if we missed anything, we can read over it.
Introducing the hawker. The market failed, the shops and the restaurants and factories closed their doors, and into that void stepped the hawker, hustling and working odd jobs and pulling a livelihood out of the rubble of apocalypse. The hawker is an industrious individual. Their power is material, social, and contingent.
All right. I am introducing the Stitcher. Things break, supplies run out, bodies get wounded. The Stitcher is there, fixing, mending, making, repurposing. They have a workshop and an uncanny intuition. The Stitcher is a resourceful individual. Their power is technical, material, and reactive.
Introducing the Tiger. The police fled the neighborhood. Things were scary for a while. Now the Tiger and their gang own the streets around here. Is that ownership still contested? The Tiger is a wicked, fierce individual. Their power is social, violent, and hard-won.
Introducing the Torch. All routines and mundane knowledges crumble under the weight of apocalypse, but the torch has answers. They are ancient teachings, a static fantasy, and a new faith dawning. Followers draw near with to their warm glow. The torch is a compelling individual. Their power is spiritual, social, and mystical.
And introducing the arrival. When society shoves you out, you don't really have time to process. You need food, shelter, friends. The arrival found their way to the Enclave. Can they barter a measure of amnesty into a permanent home? The arrival is an individual in flux. Their power is contingent, technical, and suspect. All right, so these are the 6 different character archetypes that we have to play with. And we have 6 different setting elements that we're going to share. And so we're just going to jump right into reading those in the same order, starting with Garrett.
You also play the varied scarcities. There's no postal service, no municipal waste treatment, no reservoir operations manager to treat your water, no ecological impact survey team, no police, no road maintenance crew, and that means no refrigerated trucks hauling groceries into the area, no signal in the cell towers most days. The people who used to think about this stuff so you don't have to, they are gone now.
You also play the Psychic Maelstrom. Close your eyes, open your brain. Something is wrong with the world. That something is the Psychic Maelstrom. It's just beyond our everyday perception, ever-present and howling. It can offer guidance, protection, even flashes of brilliant inspiration, but it's hungry, and nobody knows what price it demands in return.
You also play the Society Intact. For some reason, we thought the collapse was going to hit everybody at the same time, but nothing happens like that, neatly, evenly. Civilization crumbles in waves, eroding the peripheries of good society. Apocalypse is only a distant nightmare for the privileged, a cautionary tale about what might happen to them if they should fall from the master's clutches. You'd be surprised what one of those people would do to keep their society intact.
You also play the digital realm. Everything we'd ever known or said was embedded somewhere inside it. Even though the digital realm was young, it was hard to remember back to the way life was without it. It seemed as permanent as it was pervasive. Apocalypse pulled the digital realm to pieces. Networks fell into disconnect. Satellites blinked out. Computers were ripped apart and stripped of their precious metal content. But humans are wily and resourceful. They know how to salvage, repurpose, and rebuild. Maybe the digital realm still has a future.
You also play the outlying gangs. People had wildly differing ideas about what the collapse of law and order meant for the future. Some shuffled their mortal coil at the first sign of real danger. Others took to the hills, equipped with water purifiers and dried goji berries. But some people stayed right where they were, armed and alert, ready to carve out an empire by whatever means necessary. Stop what you're doing, crane your neck just a tiny bit. You can probably hear the roaring in the distance.
And finally, you also play the Earth itself. We built a new world upon its back, glass and steel stacked toward the heavens. We learned how to pull electricity out of every natural element, to mechanize, to automate. Some of us went whole days forgetting that anything existed outside our edifice. We wounded the Earth. We alienated ourselves from its touch and its harmonies. We broke holes in the sky. When it tried to warn us, we didn't listen. What now? Will Apocalypse cement that alienation for all eternity, or finally bring us home? All right, so now we have a sense of which character archetypes we can choose from, and also what the general setting elements at play in this game are. Anyone who's familiar with the game Apocalypse World has probably noted that there are there's a lot that's drawn from that setting. Dream Askew started as a hack of Apocalypse World, but a hack that kept the setting and reworked the system rather than the reverse. It rather than having the game be set kind of 50 years in the future, when everything is rubble and bullets and nothing left, it sets it more like 50 days in the future, maybe 50 weeks in the future. So it is a collapse of civilization that is ongoing. So we have a sense of who the characters are, and I guess now I'm just interested in knowing who wants to play which.
I'm interested in the tiger.
I think I'd like to play the iris if no one minds.
I'm kind of into the arrival.
I kind of like the torch.
I could totally be the Stitcher.
All right, that leaves one for me.
The hawker, I think.
Yeah, I think that's
Great.
right.
And the hawker. So that was super easy. Person, I feel like there's always like a good solid 10 minutes of people being like, so that was just nice. Our character type, and I see some people in the group chat have mentioned who's playing what. Yeah, we should all do that. Awesome. Okay, so character creation is really simple. Excuse me. In this in the layout for this character sheet, you see on the left-hand column is everything is required to introduce the character. The middle column is everything that's required to do character creation, and the right-hand column is everything that's required to actually play in the game. So we all have the same first few things to choose from. Choose a name. And for the look, we each have 2 different lists. And so the iris, you're choosing what kind of frame your body has and what sort of, but for the hawker, I'm choosing what sort of face I have and what sort of hands I have. It varies a little bit. After that, there's the line that says choose a gender. And these are kind of our real gender identities or expressions that exist in our world today. Some of them are extrapolations of real world gender identities or possibilities that exist in a few months or in a few years. And some of them are genders that are specific and unique to the apocalypse, that are somehow made possible by the collapse of civilization. You are welcome to, when you pick whatever gender you're picking, if it's an unfamiliar word for you, try Googling it. You can try asking people. You can try saying on this channel, hey, I'm picking this word, like I'm picking androgyne, and I think that it means this. Does that seem right to people? You can also just decide what it means. You can say, my gender is void, and that means this. So these are different ways that you express your aesthetics, your sense of self, how you integrate into relationships, and how you integrate into community. The arrival gets to pick options like man and woman, but no one else does. After that, you choose 2 wardrobe styles. So for example, as the hawker, I might be wearing scrounge ups but flawless makeup, or gold chains and vintage formal wear. Below that are a few choices that we're making that are really specific to our character type. For example, the iris is choosing psychic gifts and deciding what the world's Psychic Maelstrom told you. And the Stitcher is choosing workshop functions and where you get the bulk of your supplies. So really different choices for each of us. Below that, there's a couple more things. One is choose 1 to 2 key relationships. So these are people inside or just outside of the queer enclave that we're a part of. They could theoretically be another character that one of us is playing, but often are not. We're kind of populating our community with minor characters and establishing what our community is even like. And the final thing, choose 1 to ask left. don't worry about it just yet. So we've got the spreadsheet, the Dream Askew play sheet, and there's 6 character rows, and we are each I'm just going to go ahead and fill it out as we go. Whenever you've got all your choices made, or a bunch of them made, go ahead and share with us a little bit about your character. Both reading off kind of what your choices were and also extrapolating on them or expanding on them. All right, and if it's cool with everyone, I'll jump into telling a little bit about my character. So my character is named Cookie. He's the hawker, which means he's kind of like a merchant or peddler or broker, or kind of like service provider of some type in the community. He's got an honest face and tattooed hands. And what I'm imagining is that he definitely spent a bunch of his life in and out of prison. The tattoos on his hands like make it clear, you know, like he looks like he's been in and out of prison his whole life. But he's got this just like very sincere face. He's got like kind of like chubby, rosy cheeks, no matter like how underfed he's been. He's got just like really sweet, sincere eyes. He is a dagger daddy, and what I imagine that means for him is that he is no matter how his gender presentation varies over time, he looks like someone who's going to try and keep you safe if you're his friend. He looks like someone who like tries to have a stable of people who he is actively protecting and looking out for. And so who he's taking care of varies, but it's definitely a trait that he brought with him back out of prison. It's one of like the positive qualities he brought with him out of prison is that you identify who you're taking care of, and then you just put them first no matter what. And his outfit choices are a mixture of scrounge ups and immaculate whites. And what I'm imagining is that he always has his shirts like bleached and well washed and no wrinkles, because he spent a lot of his life in a scenario where like if he didn't do that, it meant he had to go back to wearing like the hideous, ugly, coarse orange jumpsuit. And so he's very meticulous about having like a crisp presentation in that sense. But then over top of that, he'll layer like all manners of like weird stuff he found molding in thrift stores. So that's what I have for Cookies so far.
So I've got. Oh, I've got Jordan, the arrival. They have a muscular frame and gloved hands. Their gender is ambiguous, and they go by they, them. They wear scrubs and hiking gear is the wardrobe. I know the Enclave existed because I used to drive an armored grocery truck through the area every week. The things that I brought when I fled are my old pistol and my truck. Key relationships are the first person here who offered me a stiff drink and the Twinkie trans guy who has me questioning things. I don't really have much else in mind for them, just sort of going with it.
Okay. I'm playing Burrows, the Iris. They have an angular frame, ruined eyes, and the gender is void. They go by they, them. I'm picturing like a human version of Nicodemus from the Rats of Nim. Ceremonial garb for the most part, like a robe that came from somewhere, but medical wear as well, usually a bandage over my eyes, and occasionally various protrusions, needles that may or may not be doing something shoved through my flesh. I am, of course, the Iris, and the Psychic Maelstrom told me that I could swallow everyone's pain away. My key relationships are with the slowly dying drag mama whose pain I ease, and the weepy trans girl whose past I'm erasing.
All right. I'm playing Hope the Torch. He has forgiving eyes. Oops, and I doubled up on that, unfortunately. Forgiving eyes and a gentle face. I'll fix that in a moment. He wears witch chic with drawn sigils, so a black turtleneck, black jeans, but he's worked very delicately and carefully to draw these symbols in. The rituals I lead are hand fasting and tripping the circuit. And my key relationships are the students I must teach and the herbalist who distills my tinctures. And my lure, whenever someone participates in one of my rituals for the first time, they gain a token. And I still have a few things to pick.
All right, and maybe now is a great time to mention the lure, since you included yours in the description. So the lure it's on the right-hand column there, so it's something that's going to be used during play. It's not something you pick. It's just, here's your lure. And basically what your lure is it's an incentive to other players to interact with you in the way, like in the arena where you are strong, in a way that makes you cool, in a way that showcases what your character actually contributes to the community. And so we just heard the Torches lure. For example, the Hawkers is whenever someone offers you a new gig or gets hooked on your supply, they gain a token. And we'll get into how tokens work really soon. But basically, it's just an incentive. Cool. I'm going to mute myself again. If anyone else has more to share about their character, just jump in and do it.
I could introduce my character by now, and I hope you can understand me. If not, it might be because I'm on my bicycle, because I'm the head of a bicycle gang. I'm a tiger, and my name is Blue, but I'm also known as the Red Queen. I wear a red mask, and you can see my slender, neon blue hairy arms, which are naked, but otherwise I wear breathable athletics like my whole gang. And I have long, long blue, neon blue hair behind my mask. My gang is famous for providing on their bicycles medical supplies, which we scratch together from wherever we can find them, in ruins, in buildings which are dangerous because they could collapse. And we provide people with medical supplies. I have a sister, Red Queen, called Yellow, who looks more or less the same as I do, except for that she has blue hairy arms and yellow hairy arms, and I have blue long hair. But my sister is hungry for blood, and she doesn't follow the kind of line I'm currently following. So that's my relationship.
Awesome. So your name is Blue and your sister's name is Yellow, but people call you the Red Queen because of the mask you wear sometimes as well.
Yes, we are the Red Queens. We lead the gang together.
Oh, awesome. You're the Red Queens. Got it. That's so great.
So I'm playing Depot, the Stitcher. I've got appraising eyes and gloved hands. I'm bigender. I go by they, them. Like the overall look of them is somebody who is like medium height, like 5'8", but has sort of like a partially shaved head. So like the left side is all shaved and the right side is all like almost shoulder length, but like bright pink hair that kind of comes down. And their body type is somewhat middle of the road. They're not like athletic, they're not skinny, they're just kind of average in that like middle of the road sense. From my workshop, I have metalworking and bicycle repair, so I'm imagining that the Red Queens probably know me pretty well if they're a bicycle gang. My lure is whenever someone comes to you with something precious that needs fixing, they gain a token. And I'm still working on my key relationships.
So I also want to invite us all, based on Patrick mentioning how burrows look like Nicodemus from the Rats of Nim. If there is a character like image or aesthetic that like really sticks out to you, if you wanted to just Google it and drop a link to it into the group chat, just so everyone can be like, oh, okay, cool. For Depot, I just wanted to ask, are you familiar with Tank Girl, the comic series?
Yeah, I know of it. I haven't read a whole bunch of it. I'm aware of it, but there's definitely some of that going on.
Okay, cool. I was imagining like Tank Girl mixed with an auto mechanic kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's good.
I wanted to say a bit more about Cookie. So Cookie is a hawker, which means that I pick 3 things that he provides. And he provides hard drugs, bodyguarding, and companionship. His desired currencies are barter and fawning adoration. And he's got 2 key relationships. One is to the old queen I drove out of business, and the other is to the pissy killjoy who lives next door. I think the old queen that he drove out of business maybe wasn't actually in his line of work, but like maybe there was this old really like hyper affected sissy queen who like ran the bar in town, and And the moment that I got told that I wasn't allowed to come there anymore, because my tab had run too high and I was starting too many fights, I was like, okay, well, now it's my mission in the community to just like make sure that no one ever gets to come here ever again. And I eventually, in whatever nefarious way, I managed to get that place shut down for good. And the pissy killjoy who lives next door, I think I'm just too loud. You know, I have a lot of loud sex. I have a lot of loud fights. I do a lot of emotional support for people, so I have a lot of other people doing loud sobbing about their issues at 3 a.m. And the person who lives next to me is just a little bit too stuck up. Is there anyone who hasn't introduced their character at all yet? Okay, so it sounds like we are ready to move on to the next thing. We each have a setting element that we are responsible for playing, and this is the part that is going to be maybe the most choppy or janky online, because the way that it works is that typically in person we have a sheet of paper that we have in front of us, and it has a prompt for when we give it away, and we just trade it with another person. And in person, I think that's like a pretty seamless process, and online we'll figure out how that goes. But we're each responsible for initially controlling one of the setting elements, and we get to define a little bit about what about how that works. And so we've got the 6. We have the varied scarcities, the Psychic Maelstrom, the Society Intact, the Digital Realm, the Outlying Gangs, and then the Earth itself. And I'm wondering, who wants to take initial ownership over what?
I'm into scarcities.
I will start with the Earth itself.
I wouldn't mind the Society Intact.
I'll take the Outlying Gangs.
I could do either the Psychic Maelstrom or the Digital Realm. Both of them are interesting to me. Do you have a preference, Avery?
I would love to have the Digital Realm because I'd love to have some say over how Reddit ruins the world.
Fantastic. I'll do the Psychic Maelstrom.
All right, so setting creation is a lot simpler. There's a spot on it where it says circle 2 desires. And you just pick whichever 2 you want. On the Google sheet that we're keeping track of everything, on the right-hand column, there's a section called Enclave Worksheet, and there's a setting elements desire there. So we just fill in which 2 we want. And when you've got it, go ahead and share it. Oh, so Garrett, the sheet. So I shared with you all a folder, and I'm going to share the link again in the chat. So this folder has two things. Yeah, the spreadsheet that you're going to fill in all your character info, and then the all the PDFs that you need to play. So everyone, once you've got your setting elements, go ahead and share them and describe a little bit about what you're envisioning. For myself, the Digital Realm desires trafficked secrets and to reinvent the world in its image. And I think that what the Digital Realm wants for the world is for everything to operate in terms of like back channel memes and dark web structure. It wants the entire world to just be finding weird rabbit holes that lead to dark and confusing places where everything is in secret and everything is in slang.
So I've got the outlying gangs, and I picked sort of some tamer options because I thought that would be interesting. Their desires are somewhere safe to sleep and home-cooked meals. I'm just envisioning a bunch of people who are not part of the Enclave who, for whatever reason, are either not allowed in or don't feel like they belong or whatever, and they literally just are looking to make life not quite as shitty, but they're perhaps a bit too aggressive and not necessarily welcome.
I'm really excited about playing a game where the outlying gangs are like the most just wanting somewhere safe to be and just wanting shelter and food kind of options, because I've often played it and people have been like, yeah, they're out for mutant blood. They want everything. They want to just seize all the territory. And so it's nice to have home cooked meals circled. I'm excited about that.
I thought that was a cool way to go with it.
I've got the society intact, hope renewed, and a technological solution, sort of envisioning this idea that if we can scrap together the pieces and parts that remain, we can make something wonderful and utilitarian that will push us through.
The Earth itself wants strange new forms and Eden renewed. We're still children of the Earth, even though we've done our best to separate ourselves from it, and it wants to take us back and reshape us a little and rebuild from scratch. Maybe not screw it up so bad this time.
So are you envisioning strange new forms being like strange new forms for mankind as well as for everything else?
Strange new forms of everything. Evolution is a process that's going to continue, and man maybe could get away from all that stuff that it's been up to that stunted its own growth.
The scarcities, which goes hand in hand with what Earth wants, I would say, is that people are looking for scrappy, do-it-yourself solutions at the moment. So all the innovation can come from that. And the other desire I would like to pick is collaboration. So what people hope for is collaboration. Let's see how that works out in reality.
For the Psychic Maelstrom, it desires fervent intimacy and to be ushered into the world forever. I kind of imagine it a little bit like a young child who's been discarded by the world for a little bit and is now getting attention again and just wants more and more attention from everybody, and to be as close and involved as everybody as it can and not to be forgotten again.
So with the not to be forgotten again, does that mean are you envisioning the Psychic Maelstrom as in the ancient days when we
I kind of imagine if myths were real and gods and things existed, it was there and then we forgot about it, and now it's kind of upset and it's no, remember me.
This is awesome. I like how so many of these are in conflict with the society intact's goal for a technological solution. Just the varied scarcities want us to be scrappy and make it ourselves. The Psychic Maelstrom wants to be remembered. The Earth wants a renewal of Eden, and yet there's still this society that's no, technology is the answer. We're sure of it.
Everyone, my earphones have gone really wonky on me. I'm going to unplug them. If I start echoing or anything, please just let me know, and I'll mute or go back to earphones.
All right, so the next step that we have to do, the final step before we pretend I didn't say that sentence. What we're gonna do right now is take a 3-minute stretching bathroom water break. When we come back in, what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and we're going to work through this thing called the Enclave Worksheet, which helps us define the character and landscape of our queer enclave that we live in. And that kind of like organically just bleeds into us having scenes. So now is a great time for us all to get up and move around or do whatever we need to do. And yeah, 3 or 4 minutes, we'll come back. All right, so I'm back. Whenever people are ready, just in the group chat, sound off just saying like ready or good to go. While I'm waiting to see if everyone is back or not, maybe I'll just talk to the theoretical audience that may be watching on YouTube. And just mention, so this is a first playtest of some new revisions. I've been kind of iteratively working on Dream Askew again, updating it towards being a more fully realized game and text. And the new materials that we're playtesting are not available for general public so far, but will be at some point in the future probably. Let's see, ready. Looks like we're just waiting on Chris. So Chris, if you're around and ready, just give us a signal, and if not, take your time. While we've got this moment of downtime, does anyone have any questions?
No, but I figured out a couple more things on my character I could share.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I was working out my key relationships, and I think one of them is my terminally ill lover. So I think there's somebody I love, and it leads to my second relationship is that there's a black marketeer to whom I owe a small fortune to, and I think it's probably that person that I've needed to get resources, whether that's medicine or other things, to try to help keep my lover alive.
And I finished out mine with decide what the looming threat you alone truly understand. When we abandon our historical rights and bonds, evil things grow in the empty spaces left behind, which is a beautiful phrase. And hope and mischief are fires that we must keep ever burning, or we will face eternal darkness. And my rituals I lead are hand fasting and tripping the circuit.
Do you have a sense of what tripping the circuit means?
I believe that it's going along a little bit with this idea that I'm having of technology needs to be adapted. We still need to find these things. And that I almost think we're having to power it ourselves, that it's sort of that thing of like your car when it's starting to break down and you go, just a little bit further, you can make it. If we believe, if we can infuse it, and that belief is helping these things work along.
All right. Okay, so we've got everyone. Now we are all set to move on. I'm super excited about all these characters. If I could ask that everyone add just one more thing to their lower third display, just like I've got on mine now, if you could also include which type of character you are. So I've said Cookie, the hawker, he, and then below that I've said my name and pronouns. Just get as much information there as possible so that when we see each other talking, we're not kind of like needing to tab back as often and be like, wait, who are you again? What's your deal? So we're almost ready to move on to starting working on the Enclave Worksheet, which kind of segues naturally into play. First, I just wanted to go over a one-page about how to play Dream Askew. And since I'm working on seeing how the materials that I'm currently developing actually connect with the audience, I'm just going to read the text that I've written, and we'll see if it works and it's sufficient. This is just the playtest version, so it's a lot more concise than maybe a fully realized finished text will be. But how to play. First, build upon curiosity. Play starts with the Enclave Worksheet, defining the aesthetics and tensions at the heart of the community. As these details are fleshed out and penciled into the map, players are also given questions to choose between to ask to the person on their left. Start there, but follow your curiosity. Maybe you want to know more about a key relationship, or discover exactly what was said during a recent interaction between two characters. Ask questions. Build on the answers that others give. If it seems like there's a scene worth exploring, dive in. Don't worry about everyone even getting to ask their question to the left if you already found a scene you want to explore. You can always come back. The second guiding principle is leap into scenes. Building upon their curiosity, asking questions and maybe fleshing out the dream, scene ideas will emerge. Maybe something will seem especially poignant or exciting. Maybe the answer to a question is clouded by uncertainty, or it just feels too big to make an arbitrary decision about. Leap into playing out that scene in full, narrating where the characters are when a question gets asked, continuing to ask questions about the setting. Scenes can be brief snippets or rolling storylines. And maybe I'll add a little bit to that in some games there needs to be really directive scene framing. Like, okay, here's the situation, it's you and you and you, and we're here, and here's what's going on, here's the problem, go. But in this game, it can be, like we're filling in details about the setting, and someone's like, okay, and where are you when you say that? And it just kind of becomes a scene that we're playing out. So it can be as fluid as we want to make it. And everyone is encouraged to frame scenes. This is an MC-less game, so the moment you are like, okay, let's dive into that more, just follow that instinct, and it's going to be awesome. The next principle: play your character. So read the tips on your character sheet, the part where it says tips. Trust your instincts. Make moves by working in the prompt. Gain a token when you make a weak move, and spend a token to make a strong move. So that's the most incomplete section, so I'm going to expand upon it a little bit. The right-hand side of your character sheet, it opens with tips. So for example, the torch has: use your rituals to bring people closer together. Make yourself valued and needed. Make your character fallible and relatable. You'll notice that we all share that third tip. All of us are supposed to make our character fallible and relatable. So we have flaws, but we are we can see ourselves in our character to some degree. They're human. Below that, there's the 3 lists of moves. They're labeled strong moves, regular moves, and weak moves. And basically the idea is whenever it comes time for you to say something as your character or for your character, glance at them, pick a move, and work that guiding inspiration into your narrative. If you're doing a regular move, it's fine. You just pick the move and you just say it. One of the first regular move that we all have is take action, leaving yourself vulnerable. This really serves as like a catch-all. So if you aren't really ever looking to the list of moves, that's fine, because like honestly, whatever you say is going to probably fall into that catch-all of take action, leaving yourself vulnerable. But kind of working from there, the rest of the list is a bit more expansive and or a bit more kind of like specific and giving you guidance and vision and inspiration for how to play your character. For example, I'm the hawker. Some of my regular moves are cave to somebody's demands, deal with a routine and uneventful job, or bolt for the nearest exit. We all have different ones. You'll also notice in each of the move sections, there's some italicized, there's like at least one italicized line, and that's a question. For example, the hawker, their regular move is ask, what does your character need right now? So this may be being expressed character to character within the scene, but either way, it is definitely a question that one player is asking to another player, that player then answers truthfully and like fully and honestly. So even if like Cookie's asking, or like I'm asking to Chris, like, what does your character need right now? Jordan, the arrival, might not be willing to like be vulnerable enough to talk about what they need, but Chris is still going to tell me as the player, be like, Jordan's looking down at their feet, they're clamming up, they're not willing to tell you that what they really need is a glass of clean water. So that's an example of how to do it. So those are regular moves. Regular moves, you just pick one and you do it. Anytime you do a weak move, you gain a token. Anytime you want to do a strong move, you have to spend a token. So basically, if your character suffers and trips up and creates awkward moments in the community and those kinds of things, it's a way of setting yourself up to later swoop in and be super useful and valuable and re-earn the admiration of your community. That kind of thing. Great, that's all about playing your character. I'm going to go back to that how to play sheet and finish off our final 2 principles. One of them is step in to play minor characters. Whenever a minor character comes up in the story, anyone can step in to play them. Just say, I'll play Freckle during this scene, or as you search the 2nd floor of this ruined old building, let's say you hear scuttling footsteps at ground level. I'm going to play some scavengers who are here with you now. If a minor character is obviously tied to a setting element, whoever holds that element can play them. So for example, if there are guards or police who came in from the society intact, since I think Patrick maybe is playing, no, Tyler is playing the society intact. So then Tyler would be like, cool, well, I'll play them. So that's one way to handle it. Also, you could always rotate ownership of minor characters. So just in a scene, anyone can feel compelled to jump in and say, I'll play them. And it's really helpful to do so, and we can just rotate whenever it makes sense. Finally, invoke setting elements when it feels right. If you've got a setting element in your hands, invoke it whenever it feels right to do so. Maybe it literally never comes up. Maybe it's at the heart of the plot. There's a trigger for when to pick it up and take an active hand in playing it, and another for when to give it away to another player because your own character is currently contending with it in some way. So if you go to your setting sheet and you look there on the right column, it says pick up when and give away when. For example, mine, the digital realm, I pick it up when someone interacts with a digital device or you have an idea about how digitization shaped this environment. But I give it away when you interact with the digital device or recall memories of the digital realm. So the moment the cookie's trying to figure out how to use a cell phone, or is recalling all of his days trying to broker sketchy deals online, I'm going to trade setting elements with someone. So maybe Yoshi takes on the digital realm and I take on the Psychic Maelstrom. And like I said, in play, in person, if we were sitting around a physical table, that happens a lot more intuitively. But here we'll just try and make really sure to be like, okay, now I'm playing this and you're playing this. Got it. So we're going to move on to the Enclave Worksheet. But first of all, I just wanted to ask, does anyone have any questions or confusions that they want addressed right now?
Just to ask about a little the game contest. Oh, I'm echoing terrible. Shit.
I think we can hear you pretty good again now.
Let's see. All right. The society intact. What does that entail? What does that mean?
So my understanding of what that would be is that there is still a society that functions in the before the apocalypse kind of way. There's still a society where people earn money at day jobs and then go to malls and spend that money on stuff. And bit by bit, different marginalized communities and different people are getting kind of like, they're falling out of that society intact, and they're having to fend for themselves in this kind of like other world in the crumbled ruins, which in a lot of ways is what already happens and has always been happening in our real world. And it's just become really real for our characters sometime in the last days, weeks, months, or years, because we've fallen out. And so whether we still use money, that's up in the air. Whether we still have jobs, that's up in the air. Whether we still have power, that's up in the air.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. So in that case, we are going to move on to the Enclave Worksheet together. Now in this PDF document I sent you, the second page is called, it says Welcome to the Enclave. And it's a choosing from lists kind of page. So collectively, we circle 3 to 5 of the visuals listed that kind of define the landscape and the aesthetic of our community. So why don't we start with that step? Looking over that list, does anyone see a visual that they're like, yes, I want my apocalyptic community to look like that?
A train station.
Awesome. So I've entered in a train station. What else do we have?
blockades.
Okay, and what are the blockades like?
I'm thinking police blockades, long since abandoned, that may have been trying to establish the train station as a central point.
All right, what else do people have? And sorry, as we're going along and picking out visuals, feel free to flesh them out as much as you want. If someone else says visual and you're like, oh, I've got an idea for that, just jump in and start telling us about that.
The wastelands. And the wastelands are more like a swamp, I imagine, because it was a huge garbage area, and a flood flooded it all back into the city. And so we have like our own waste, like just at our front door.
Awesome. So you said it's a wasteland and there was flooding, is that right?
Yeah, it's garbage, human garbage.
Oh, awesome. So like wasteland, like trash land. That's so good.
Land. Yeah.
That's so perfect. Okay. Is that why the police abandoned their blockades and everyone abandoned the train station?
Well, yeah, you can't use the roads anyway anymore. But bicycles are good.
I totally imagine that like the roads are just like covered in potholes because of everything, and so like you couldn't drive a vehicle very well or very quickly down them. But like there's these like sort of elevated like mud packed bicycle like ways that are just like narrow and thin, but like up above like the mud, like the wet mud and so on, that like are kind of like the highways that the Red Queens now dominate.
I love it. So I don't have an idea for a particular, I guess I don't have this fleshed out or specific, but with the train station, I like the idea of it being like abandoned, but like, I don't know, once a month or once a season or something, a train rolls in. I don't know why. I don't know what it does, but I like the idea of there being this sort of pseudo mysterious train.
Can we say that the train is like really well guarded and armed? Like it's like a military train potentially? And we don't know what it does, but it has to stop at our station for several hours. And we kind of all just like do our best to not get on anyone's bad side.
Yeah, I imagine they like at least somebody from the train like comes off and like looks and is maybe trying to barter for some things, but they're always looking for weird things that like why do you want this? Like that's not important type things.
And they always offer things that like that in their mind is like really necessary supplies. They're like, we'll give you like this like flat of like 100 milliliter water bottles and like things like that.
Yeah, perfect.
Bought you this box of Betamax tapes.
Oh, and I'm imagining like really like official like aid supplies, right? Like they're like here are like 500 like water purification tabs, and we're like we have running water, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful.
All right, we can have up to one more visual. So does anyone have another thing they want to throw out there?
I kind of like the idea of the mutant plants. That just sounds nifty.
All right, does anyone have ideas about what the mutant plants like look like?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, are you imagining things like sort of like kudzu, where it's like vines that are like taking over?
Yeah, I think that's a nice idea, that it's this kind of ground cover thing, and like when it blooms or when it fruits, you're never quite sure. They're never the same.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It's always kind of changing.
So instead of like it being like when it blooms, instead of it being like a field of like purple flowers or whatever, it's like spotted all different colors, like purple and yellow and green. Cool. I like it.
Every now and again, it's like that's a pumpkin.
Yeah, it almost seems like the plants are trying to become something.
Awesome.
I'm now imagining that there's someone in the community who has like taken it on to like dry and preserve and like archive. Boom, and they, you know, they've got their heavy catalog of like pressed like strange mutant orchids and stuff like that. Awesome. So we've got the landscape of our community, this mostly abandoned train station and long abandoned police blockade setups, and just like flooded like wet trash everywhere. And amidst all the trash, these plants are growing and covering more and more ground and blooming, and it's always different. We never know what it's going to be next. And there are like paths through the dirt and through the still remaining roadways that like bicycles can get through and people can walk through, but like even like a bicycle trailer that's like, you know, 3 or 4 feet wide, it's going to have a lot of trouble making it through. Okay, so we're going to continue on with this Enclave worksheet. This is a really cool community. I like it. Basically, at this point, at any point where someone's like, okay, I have an idea for a scene, or we want to segue into a scene, like that's fine. We don't actually have to finish setup. But the next step that we're going to move on to for right now is circle 3 things that are in conflict in the Enclave. And we'll see here a list of things, a lot of which have a real world representation in the real world. Things like trauma or barriers to access, or questions of indigeneity, of like whose land this is, and who still owns this land. But there's also some stuff in there that's like stuff that you only have to deal with once it's the apocalypse. Like mutants. What we're doing now is basically picking 3 of these tensions from this list and deciding how they manifest themselves in the community and how all 3 are in a triangular conflict or tension within our community. And it could be like a really explicit, obvious tension, like there are different camps in the community, or it could be more subtle, like, well, people want this and also this, and they're not really sure how to make them both happen at the same time. But looking at that list, what jumps out as exciting to people?
I kind of like that psychic privacy. I like if we're having people that are able to kind of invade into your mind and know things about you, that we're developing a, you know, you shouldn't do this, while there's others that are saying, well, it's bringing us closer. And there's a lot of tension between how far is it okay to read someone's mind, or to try and imprint something into them.
I think that's got to mesh up well with religious customs. There are both sides of the coin. Some people are thinking that if you're forcing religion, like literally forcing your religion on people through psychic intrusion, obviously that's like demonic, but other people are like, well, if it leads into the light.
Awesome. That makes me wonder, so who's playing the torch? Let's see, that's Tyler. So Hope the torch. How does that interact with what you do?
I'm probably falling on the against people being able to invade minds, and against enforced religion. I come from a more goddess worship and all-inclusive, almost pantheistic sort of view. So there is no right path, there is your path.
All right, I think that before we pick the third thing, there's also a list of possible resident names for people who live in the community. And I'm wondering maybe we could pick one or two. Who are these people who believe that that any path towards the light, no matter how self-selected it is a good path.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I think Finn is one of them, and I think it's a self-selected name. He's like the end justifies the means type thing. If you get to the light, that's the right path.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm writing down on the Enclave Worksheet column of our spreadsheet. I've written down all the visuals, the two things we have intention so far, and at the very bottom there, there's a names and notes section. So anyone can feel free to add to it. I added, one of my key relationships is to a pissy killjoy, and so I named that person Abilene. And then I wrote, Finn thinks the spiritual ends justify the means. So at any point, people can feel free to. I see Tawny, the Twinkie trans boy who's making the arrival rethink some stuff, is down there as well. So feel free to go ahead and add stuff. And if we run out of lines, just add multiple things to a line, make it work. Do we have another thing that's in conflict? Our third point in the triangle.
I'd like to nominate trauma. I feel like that really sits well in contention with the idea of psychic privacy. Can you remove someone's trauma? Religious, does religion cure trauma? Does trauma cure religion? You tell me.
That almost harkens back to, admittedly not the best movie in the series, but makes me think of X-Men 3 when Rogue wanted to get cured of the mutant thing, and everyone was like, no, you're perfect just the way you are. And she's like, no, I am absolutely not. So there would be people who have trauma that want to get it psychically erased. And I think some of the extremists on the other side would be like, no, psychic surgery is bad no matter what all the time. And they're like, you don't know what I have to live with.
So there are some people who think that, like, even if the receiving party would be consenting, that going into someone's brain and using psychic powers that have no, we don't know the ramifications of, is like immoral at all times. Is that right?
I think on the extremist end of that, yeah.
Awesome. I think to tie together religious customs and trauma, I'm also imagining that the path Finn walks is something that really, like, has given some traumatized people like a sense of possibility in the world. They're like, I don't have to always be flailing around trying to figure out how to navigate the world. It's like, Finn tells me what to do, I do it. That is comforting. And then there's other people whose trauma is totally, like, exacerbated, made worse by Finn.
Finn and I are going to be in direct conflict then, because I am in the process of trying to swallow everyone's pain away. And my powers are memory harvesting, I believe is the exact phrase. Yeah, memory harvesting and brain whispers. So I'm using the brain whispers to find the people who want their memories taken away, and then taking them away.
Awesome. Is that like an active thing, the brain whispers, or is this like sort of like a passive thing that you pick up as you?
I imagine that it's just kind of a like calls to like, their brain calls out to mine. Sort of an identification thing. I don't want it to be particularly active, but just like when somebody new comes.
I missed the last part there.
When somebody new comes to the community, they, if they're the kind of person that I'm going to be looking for, then I know that as soon as I meet them.
Cool. Is that just like an impression? Like you just get a feeling, like an emotional feeling from them?
Yeah, I would say I can hear their brain whispering, calling out its need, but very, very quietly because it's traumatized.
Awesome. Cool. Cool.
All right, so at this point, if we were playing in person around a table, the rest of the Enclave worksheet is a blank map for us to begin kind of being like, okay, this is here, this is here, this is here. What we're going to be doing, since we don't have a physical map in front of us that we can all share, is we're just going to do more kind of like loosey-goosey describing of where things are, and it's going to work great. We've each got on our character sheet, the last part of the character creation column is choose one to ask left. So you can pick one of those questions and ask it to the next person going down the order. And I'm going to post in the group chat there, I posted the kind of like the player name order list. So just the next person below you on the list. So if anyone sees one of their choose one to ask left questions that they want to ask, just read it out and let's go from there.
So would my left be Patrick or Garrett? Sorry.
Chris, Patrick. Yeah, we'll go down the list.
Okay, so then to Patrick or Burroughs, I ask, why do you wish I had never arrived?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Would it help if I fleshed out a little bit of what I had an idea for my character? Because I haven't really given a lot yet.
Sure.
So my idea, I picked the lure that I have is, or no, not the lure. How I knew the Enclave existed is that I used to drive an armored grocery truck through the area every week. And I think I really liked when I was listening to you guys talking about all of the roads being, covered in potholes and just becoming almost undrivable. I think that basically eventually I just realized that I was spending more money getting my truck repaired than I was selling, trading between areas. And so I moved in here and I still have my truck and I'm the outsider trying to make my way in the new area. So
the reason I don't love the fact that you're here is that you don't have trauma the way the rest of us do. You led a fairly successful life. You weren't kicked out of society. So you chose to abandon what was left of your role and join us. And that's just alien to my way of thinking.
Well, that clearly to me means that I worked for the Intact Society. I was buying supplies from the Intact Society to bring them to you guys.
Yeah, and even though you were like on your, you were freelancing, it still struck me that it something about your arrival was the opposite of auspicious. It was so commonplace that I'm just like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?
I like it. I love it. Thank you.
Cool. I'll ask mine then. So, Hope, how have I unsettled you recently?
Where do you fall on the psychic intrusion scale?
Oh, I'm the guy that they're complaining about.
Then that is very much what bothers me. This kind of casual belief that it's okay to invade a mind, to not seek permission.
Oh, no, I would never. No. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Like Finn is the kind of person, I think we set him up as the antagonist in this case. Like, okay. He doesn't want anybody to consent to that. But I do have that low-key brain whispers thing. Like, I hear it whether I want to or not. So that could be what you're looking at.
I think that's a good one then. It bothers me that I know my thoughts or my feelings can be read without my permission, without my knowledge. What am I giving away? So that unsettles me that you may know my deepest feelings.
Okay.
I want to ask a question about that as well. So Hope, you were not into the fact that Burroughs has like an ambient awareness of other people's brain whispers. how do you feel about the fact that Hope, or that Burroughs makes arrangements with people where, though they are consenting, like he is like going into their brains and scooping stuff out?
I don't mind anything with consent. I believe that we are developing talents and gifts. We should use them, but it is all about consent. And I guess I will ask mine to Yoshi then. Are you among my followers and devotees? And it's part of that idea that I think we should be taking a little bit of everything, the technology, the gifts, the new world, and using it.
Yeah, I think I am one of your followers. I think part of it is I came to you when Ty, my lover, started becoming terminally ill, and to look for solutions. And I think that some of the stuff that you brought and like the things that I wouldn't have expected maybe helped keep her a little bit more stable, maybe like make her a little bit in less pain. And so I think because of that, I'm definitely your follower and devotee.
Can we actually see a little bit of that, of how that interaction happens? Because like,
Yeah.
oh, you're the Stitcher. I want to know what does Hope have that you can't whip up yourself?
So I think what I imagine for Depot is that they're a little bit more on the mechanical technical side of like stitching things together. Their workshop is for bicycle repair and metalworking. So like I think a lot of the things that I come to Hope for is things that are a little bit softer. So whether it's like herbs or just comfort or words or some of like that mental like faith that I don't have quite as readily accessible. Like I get more attached to objects and things. Like the bike that Blue rides is more important to me than Blue. So that
the baby Hope's like way of healing is these tinctures, these things that are perhaps being made from these new mutant plants, rubbing these in and kind of doing a like a Reiki almost sort of style of healing.
Yeah, so like I imagine there's like this scene where I think Ty's in the workshop with me, like maybe like if it's like a little loft thing above the like the workshop, a little separated, is like I've brought you in there, and like we see you and like you can smell like the pungent herbs there as you're working on it, and like I'm sort of just like in the back, like away from you, but like sort of like backed into the corner on the other side of the bed, like holding Ty's hand as you like kind of like work on this.
So
Excellent.
Depot, you're the person who normally takes care of Ty. How does it feel to be like turning over ability to someone else and be watching someone else take care of Ty?
It's both hard to see somebody taking like to doing that, but at the same time, like there's like if you look at Depot's face, like you can see a measure of like relief that something is doing and that it's working at least a little bit. That no, I know I've tried a bunch of things, and like maybe you can see like in the back of this room like a bunch of other things that I have more expertise in that have just failed and that aren't working, and they're just kind of like scraps in the corner. And like you see that like little glimmer of hope and like the glistening eyes as like you can see like Ty take a deeper, fuller breath or something like that.
Who's playing Ty? Cool, I am. So Ty is takes like a deeper breath, but like Ty's been like they've been working to keep their eyes like kind of half closed and their breath really shallow because it hurts a bit less that way.
Yeah.
They're like breathing deeper. really good sign. But it also means that they're like going deeper into the pain. And so I think they're breathing and they're like, you see their eyes are just like all of a sudden like they're wide.
It's okay. I'm here. I've brought hope here to help, to make things a little bit better. I was trying and it didn't work, but I think this is going to work. It's got to work.
And I'm rubbing in like these oils on their chest and here at their temples, and it's breathe deep, fly through the pain, soar above it, soar, and just sort of meditative calming in an attempt to let Ty be able to get that oxygen, to get that healing without being overwhelmed with the pain.
And I think the Ty is like studying your face really intently, Hope, like looking for signs that it's okay to really to like trust you fully and give into this process, even though it's hard.
And I think I squeeze
Ty,
I squeeze your hand, like as I'm holding it on the other side. It's like, I'm here, like we're here for you.
and I think Ty's eyes like well up, but it's not like clear like tears. I think like the sickness has it like this kind of like yellowy, almost like orangey kind of liquid that wells up in Ty's eyes.
Yeah. And I take like a handkerchief, and like you can see there's probably like a little bit of like bicycle grease or something on like one edge of it, but like I like fold it and find a clean edge and like part of it, and like start to like help wipe away the tears.
I'll work for a bit longer, and as hopefully Ty begins to breathe somewhat easier, I'll lean down and kiss them just very gently on the forehead and sort of try and make that connection and try and take a little of that burden onto myself.
Cool. I think if you don't see it since you're leaning over, but like when you lean down to kiss her, like I stiffen just a little bit as like you're doing this moment of intimacy that's right there. But like maybe Ty notices is like maybe my hand just squeezes a little bit as that lean comes in.
And I think that Ty like turns to you and wants to say something reassuring, and like on her best days is able to like make gallows humor.
Right.
And so is like, do you think we should update the doctor on my progress? Which of course the doctor died years ago, when the doctor's office got like bombed, and they've been off insurance for years, and you all don't even live in society anymore. So that's like a little in-joke that she has with you. Do you think we should update the doctor on my progress?
I'll tell him the next time I see him.
Is that scene?
I think so. That's good.
Cool. We've got more questions to ask left that we can go to, unless someone has a scene idea. I'm wondering if maybe we should skip mine and Yoshi's questions for right now, just because we were just doing a scene. Maybe Garrett, do you want to ask your question to Chris?
Yes, I want to know from you, Jordan, what you have recently contributed to the cause. And in terms of cause, I imagine one of our conflicts and how to resolve that. Because I might be the Red Queen, but I'm still against having conflicts. Because we need to resolve them to survive here. So which conflicts did you recently help to calm down a bit?
Huh. I think that I have sort of a semi-familiar trope in like apocalyptic fiction. I think that I've helped assuage some of the trauma, coming at it from a basically a third angle, not coming at it through this psychic surgery of any kind, be it invasive or voluntary, but coming with tales of the outside world, basically, or bringing in tales of society. That sort of way that people flock to the new guy and then just like, I describe things that are still going on in the intact society, and people like live it vicariously, and it's become this thing that like, it's not like I do it on a set schedule, and it's not like I even really want to do it. It's just that, if I'm at the bar, people will sort of flock around me and start asking me questions, and I realize there's a fly buzzing around my head, and I realize that, if I want to stay here, I've got to make nice, and so that's what I've been doing.
Thank you.
Jordan, I actually have a question for you as well, if that's okay. I was noticing that the Arrival always has two things that they brought with them. And yours are a phone that still got service and a truck. And I'm wondering, is it the armored grocery truck that you used to drive?
Yeah, that's what I think. My idea was that I believe the depot said that they stitched things. And so I think Depot was probably the one who fixed my truck when I was coming in and out of town. And I think that I brought my truck back and Depot was like, all right, I can fix it, but this is the last time. Like, if you bring it back in this condition, it's not going to run again. So I have a truck that's running, but on its last legs.
Perfect.
How did you get it here? Because I know that for most vehicles, the roads are no longer accessible. And it's not like you can just drive across them because of the giant piles of flooded trash and waterlogged, crumbling roads. And so I'm wondering how you managed to get it here.
I think mostly just through like sheer determination and being willing to put the truck through absolute chaos and destruction, which is the reason that it's not really going to be fixable anymore. Just like, oh yeah, if I go through that ditch, it's probably really going to fuck up the axle. Well, that's the only way.
Cool. I have an idea or a question for you. What do you want your truck to be repurposed for? Because like I totally imagine Depot has come to you at some point and is like, look, you can't get that anywhere. Like, it's stuck here, but it's got useful stuff on it. What do you want it to be used for?
Maybe we could set it up at one of the failing blockades, since it is an armored truck, and sort of reinforce one of them.
Cool. Yeah. So I think maybe that's something that I've helped you do. And like, maybe we're doing that piece by piece of like moving it over there and like just slowly getting it to a place where we can reinforce it and like build up that blockade and get something for it. Cool.
Nope. Avery said that she went AFK for a minute.
Yeah.
But please keep playing.
So for, I guess maybe continuing on that line of like what that truck is moving over there, what's important about the blockades to you for it? Like, why do we want to protect that?
So
what's important to Jordan?
Here. I'm new here, and maybe I don't have the same trauma everyone else does, and maybe I don't understand how things work, but I think that you guys also don't understand how things work out there.
Right.
And in my mind, and this isn't necessarily true, but in my mind, you guys have almost had it cush, because you maybe haven't gotten hit very hard by these raiders that are out there, but they're there and they're coming, and not even just raiders, but I mean, you think these mutant plants are crazy. You should see the trees that are out, and you just have no idea what's out there, and you need to be prepared.
Cool. So I think along those lines is like we're setting up and dismantling your armored truck to like build up the blockades to make sure that those raiders can't come in. And then like I think I totally would be like scavenging like the engine and other pieces of it for other things. And so like maybe part of it is just like sitting in my workshop at some point waiting for a new project for it.
It kills me every time you take a part out too. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, and you're like, oh yeah, this tube here, I was looking for something just like this.
Petrol run stuff is just useless. I just tell you every time.
Blue, things will keep needing to be repaired. I'm still gonna fix your bike. Just because I've got an engine doesn't mean your bike isn't gonna get fixed either.
Yeah, if you could repair humans, huh?
Look, I've tried, and people are not the same thing as things. They just.
Oh, you're so wise, Depot.
All right, the next time you get hurt and you want to come to me, I'll try to repair you, and we'll see how you feel then. But like I'm telling you, it doesn't work the same.
Well, you've got that new hose.
And Depot, I'm wondering when you say it doesn't work the same. Like you have a terminally ill lover you're taking care of.
Yeah.
Is that on the forethought of your mind? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's totally in the forethought of my mind. I have definitely tried to do something to like mechanically like repair things for her, and it didn't work out well. It made things worse, and so it's a sore spot for me.
This is so interesting because anytime I've played a Stitcher, like my go-to thing when I play a Stitcher is always to be like, they fix people and bikes, and they don't really understand how those are like distinct categories. Or they fix people and cars, and they don't really get how those are different. And so
Nope.
This is nice to see someone else play it.
I know it hurts. I didn't want to hurt you, but I had a really bad day. So, by the way, whoever needs blood pressure medicaments anymore, there are no left. I couldn't find any blood pressure medicaments anymore, anywhere. I'm very sorry to say. So if anybody still needs some, we need to find another solution. I heard that garlic is also helping.
Sure. I think really, if we're out of these supplies that are helping people, I'm not the person who you need to tell. I think you need to go talk to Hope about that, or even to Cookie, because Cookie's the one with all of the trades and the goods. If you need some garlic or you need some other implements, he's the one who's going to help you.
It's going to be tricky though, because when you go to talk to Cookie about it, you remember that Cookie is one of the people who really needs those blood meds. Cookie, he's done some hard stuff for years, for decades. He's pretty old at this point, and it takes a lot to keep these veins operational. So when you go to Cookie to talk about this, maybe you're at Cookie's apartment, and most people maybe don't sleep. A lot of people sleep communally, but Cookie's got this what he calls an apartment that's basically like a janitor's closet size place. But he's got his tiny little desk table, his tiny little bed. I think he's he comes from a Dutch family, and his mom always kept the linens crisp, and so he attempts as much as possible to do that, even though he's lives in a closet in the apocalypse. But when you maybe you go and talk to him, and we'll start a scene there with Cookie being well, that's a problem. I fucking need those meds. I'll die without them.
I'm generally really happy to have this mask on, because I don't like people seeing how I feel. I have my voice for that. I can better control and manipulate my voice than my face. But this is one of those moments when I'm just thanking all the spirits in this world that I have a mask on, because I feel really bad. Hey, Cookie, I heard that garlic helps a lot, and I brought you I brought you some garlic. Look, it's not the best, and it has a strange color, but you know how things are, right? Just a null a day should be. How many have you left?
And Cookie's like, Blue, they grew that in a trash bag. They grew that off the side of the highway. You really think that's gonna keep me alive?
It still smells like garlic. It's not. I mean, maybe we can extend our territory, but that's a risky plan, and you know, and my sister is pushing in that direction, but so far I was the one who said that it's impossible to go there. We might be able to find something there, but it doesn't make my life easier either.
So I'm gonna make a weak move right now, which we don't have to announce by name, but I am just in this case. I'm gonna beg for mercy. So I'm just gonna on the sheet where we mark down our tokens. I've taken a token because I'm making a weak move, but I say like, you know, Cookie doesn't cry often, but his eyes well up immediately, and he's like, we can't be out of the thing that keeps me alive, Blue. Like I'll eat the garlic. I'll eat the fucking garlic. Of course I will. I'll eat whatever you tell me to. But you're not really gonna sit there and tell me that you can't go get my meds because it's too difficult for you and leave me. There aren't many people my age in this community. You let me die, and like, there just aren't that many elders around.
All in a sudden, I would do whatever I can. Cookie, I know you for so long, but I need some support. My sister is really pushing the gang into a different direction, and if I give in on that matter, then I could directly jump from this building, or jump in front of the train coming next week again, I hope. What shall I do? Is there some hope?
And Cookie reaches over, and there's like this like little like brass like dish with a lid, and like opens it, and there's like a joint and some like loose weed in there, and so he like grabs the joint and like starts lighting it. And as he does, he's talking. He says like, "Listen, you," and he offers it to you. "You're a leader, okay? Blue, you're in charge. And I know family, it's all kinds of difficult, you know? They're there for you, but they're a thorn in your side. But ultimately, this isn't only about family. This is about you maintaining control. And I know it's hard to make an example out of someone you love. I get it. But you got to keep the dagger sharp. You got to be willing to set people on the right path. And listen, without those meds, I die. It's as simple as that. So whatever it takes to pull your sibling in line so you can do what you have to do to keep this community in check. Like, if you need help with that, I can help. My body isn't, it's not, I can't go out there into the wastes on my own. You know, I can't track these meds down myself. I don't know how to do what you do. So if you need help getting your sibling in line, if you need help scaring her, I can help with that. But ultimately, you need to be a leader and you need to pull your weight around here. And that means getting me those fucking meds.
See. It's good to be not to be a leader for a moment. If you're gonna help me, I figure a way out. I was about to meet Hope anyway. Because I think I need to consult the spirits. I'll trust the spirits, and by night I can see them in the sky. Something big is happening soon. And I want friends to stand by my side then. Thank you, Cookie. I do whatever I can. I will not yet let you down, whatever it takes. See? I also played a weak move of mine and should take a token. You were muted? Yeah, but yeah.
Ooh, that was intense. Ooh.
Were you going to bridge from there into a scene with Hope, or did you want me to? Should we establish another scene in the meantime?
Meantime, I need a short break to recover.
I think what I'm going to do is I have to kind of wait for people to come to me in a lot of ways, but so I think what I'm going to do is open my brain to the Psychic Maelstrom. So who is playing the Psychic Maelstrom?
That would be me.
All right, well, welcome to my brain. I think I'm probably, I picture myself meditating at like a high point in the middle, like maybe on the roof of the train station or something, a central location, trying to just open my brain to the Maelstrom and learn what sort of secrets it has for me and see what I'm supposed to do next, because in a lot of ways my job is to lurk until I'm called upon.
Okay. So I think like maybe what you see as you're meditating, it's like at night I'm imagining. So it's with all of the world like sort of going dark slowly as more and more like city lights go out, you can see more of like the stars and stuff that are coming out. And I think on the distance where there maybe used to be a glow of a city in the distance that we're like, since this is like a smaller town that we're in, where we used to be able to see the glow on the horizon, it's not there anymore. Like you don't see the glow, but up above it in the skyline, it's almost like the Aurora Borealis, where you see like the green, like snake-like light that comes down over the city. And that's what you see on the horizon instead. So it's a different light. It's like an eerie green glow in the distance instead of the old like orangish yellow city lights.
Okay. I'm not sure if we're supposed to be literally asking these questions, but what do I feel I should be on the lookout for?
So I think what you feel from that as like the light like glows down from the scene, you can see it from the top of the train station, your elevated position, and you see almost like reflected onto the ground is the ground foliage sort of glows and reflects that light and kind of like leads a path into it. And you can hear in the distance maybe like something that now sounds really foreign, like the sound of a motor off in the distance. And especially since we haven't heard, we don't have working roads in this community anymore, it's really something that's a little bit sharper and like eerie that you haven't heard in a while.
Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to try to let that soak in. But what I want to do is do one of my weak moves as I come down. I guess literally come down and begin to to soak that information in, I'm going to draw unwanted attention to my movements. Maybe I'm still a little shaken or something, so I, stumble and make a bunch of noise and wake some people up, and they see me, lurking around on top of the train station being creepy, which is not exactly out of character for me, but I think might unsettle a few more people than usual.
Sweet.
Are you saying anything as you're doing this?
I don't think so. I picture myself being very much, I take information in and I never give it out. So, yeah, we're going to go with that for now.
So, despite me just playing the Psychic Maelstrom, I think maybe you find Depot, like, is one of the people that like comes up and hears you as you come down.
Sure.
And so, like, I think I come up to you and I'm like, Burroughs, I have a favor to ask of you.
Of course.
You can take memories away, right?
Yes. Sort of.
What's that like for the person that you take the memories away from? What do you
Relief.
Relief?
I am able to take away certain things that you no longer wish to experience.
Yoshi, if it's okay, since you are involved with Burroughs right after a Psychic Maelstrom exposure,
Yeah.
do you want to switch setting elements?
Yeah, sure. I'll totally switch setting elements.
Cool. So you are now the digital realm. I'm the Psychic Maelstrom.
Fantastic.
And I just wanted to introduce this this little detail that Burroughs, you are still getting kind of lingering like residual impacts, and so like you're talking to Depot, but like Depot is like kind of like seen through like a colored lens filter, kind of, right? Like Depot is a little too blue and a little too green. It doesn't quite seem like human skin tones, and you can still kind of see the plants being like too lit, like they're glowing almost. They're radiating light, which doesn't seem to be actually real necessarily. It's just you're still kind of a little bit in that psychic wavelength.
Okay.
I tried to do some things to help Ty, and they didn't work. And maybe if you could come and talk to her, I don't really want her to have those memories. I don't want to have the memories of causing her pain. I want them gone, but I also want to be able to help her feel safe. And I can sense sometimes that she flinches ever so slightly when I have my wrench or another tool in my hand, almost like she's scared, and it hurts.
I believe that I can work with this. And he kind of holds out an arm, and then you remember he's got that gauze over his face, so
yeah,
nobody's entirely certain what his eyes are still doing at this point. So he just kind of holds out a hand and says, "Please lead the way."
Yeah. So yeah, I think I take your hand and guide you back towards the place. And I think we could end there.
Okay.
I'm wondering about Jordan. We haven't seen much of Jordan yet, and so what are they doing? How are they integrating into the community?
Well, like I mentioned before, he's pretty they're pretty social. In that people are always coming up to them and talking and asking questions. So, I think that for the most part, They haven't done a lot of like monumental things yet, being relatively new, other than working with Depot on the truck and the barricades, but otherwise mostly just like hanging out at the local watering hole. Sort of keeping an ear to the ground too.
Can I just suggest, since there was the old queen who ran the bar, who I kind of got shut down, can I just suggest that the watering hole is just like literally like the water hole? Like this is where our water gets filtered, and so it's where people congregate to drink, you know, water or whatever booze they brought from home.
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like I've taken a lot of screen time, so I don't necessarily want to jump in and play someone, but I wonder if there's maybe a scene there with like an interaction with one of the people who frequents the watering hole.
I feel like I've got a scene coming up perhaps with Garrett, so I'll hold off from this water scene because I have a framework for that once this is over.
Yeah. I would like, on selfish purposes, I would like to see my sister. So I would like to play Yellow, the yellow-red queen in that scene. Maybe she's at the water hole.
Sure.
Does that sound good for you? Yeah, because she's a little bit different than her sister. Well, and she's there with two of her companions, and like we all wear these red masks. Well, none of the red masks is as great and good looking as the one from the queens, obviously, because otherwise they weren't the queens. And we are at the water hole, and we are pushing through whoever is on our way because we were there first or deserve to go there first. Hey, new arrival, what are you doing here?
Drinking some water with my fellows here.
Who do you call your fellows here?
No, just the people, the townsfolk. Talking to them about
townsfolk.
Yeah, what do you Enclave folk? Sorry, I don't.
And then everybody's laughing about you, like reds can laugh. You would sound funny, yes. Right?
Yeah, of course. Hey, I'm Jordan, by the way. I don't think we've met yet. Hold their hand out.
He's kind. Can you hear how kind he is? Yeah, he's really kind. He's a good guy, I think. Yeah.
I think one of your henchmen like steps is like, Jordan, this is Yellow. Like, she's the queen around here. Dress royalty appropriately.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Your Majesty.
Oh.
And I give this big, wide, sweeping bow.
Oh, he knows how to behave properly. Oh, I'm so grand I can even hear my echo. Wow.
And I think
aren't you afraid?
I think that someone else comes up and is like, I think that like when someone's like, well, my pronouns in this community are Your Royal Highness. Like others will just like be like, okay, that's what we're rolling with. We give you all the formalities of royalty, not because we think you're royalty, but that's just because that's what you've asked for. So someone comes up and is like, Your Highness, and offers up, you know, a mason jar full of water.
Oh, that sounds good. I want to share this with my new friend, Jordan. They have a big truck. And because they have a big truck, they are friends with the queens.
Excellent.
So, since we are friends now, since we shared water, we can also share like what kind of information is out there. How is the world? What have you seen?
It's intense. I mean, well, I'm sure you've been out there on your bicycles, but it's yeah, it's crazy. There's mutant crops of all kinds of different things cropping up out there. There's motorcycle gangs and just all kinds of things. What's really crazy though is the I don't know the name for it, but the society that I used to work for, they were things are set up so much different there. You wouldn't even believe.
Interesting.
What about
It's something which could be of work for us here. So you could prove your value for this community and bring something of it. We could accompany you.
go and raid the society? Is that what you're?
I have a question about the society, maybe for the person who's playing the society intact. I'm just wondering, what are the borders of the society like? Like, are we talking about like there are perimeter guards who keep unwanted folks out, or is it more just that like some people can afford to rent and some people can't?
I think it's become like enormous gated communities. So there are walls and there are gates and there are people that patrol. And in the intact, you still have people who are wearing uniforms, and they've stratified themselves so that there are those who have and those that do. And they are very careful who's allowed in.
Yeah. So prove your value to the community and show us how we could profit from them.
Well, I mean, they did kind of kick me out, so I guess I don't really owe them anything. What do you have in mind?
Well, if you know way in, and we can convince the other, especially my sister queen, then we could make this our community prosper. We need that. All this religious bullshit they are spreading around here is not bringing us anywhere. Everybody's talking about the apocalypse after the apocalypse or whatever. The sister is seeing signs on the sky. It's terrible. And this Hope guy, this person, Hope is like a fanatic. It should be not allowed to have any power here.
Yeah, well, I'm not really looking to depose anybody, but I mean, if we can think of some, I don't know, maybe medical supplies or something we could get from them, I'd be down to help with that. I know of a way in.
I just want to step in for just a second here. One of the things for the Psychic Maelstrom is that I'm supposed to explore the subtle impact that the Psychic Maelstrom has on everyday people and places. And I think that the more this conversation goes, the more there's talks about like raiding the society at large, how Hope should be deposed of power, all these big sweeping possible changes in power dynamics in the community. You can see there's just like a few people who they're kind of more and more just staring at their drink. Like their energy is all getting sapped and sucked elsewhere. And one even kind of just like slumps down right on the bar.
Whoa, Joy, are you okay? I reach over and I like pat her on the back.
And she like kind of like half wakes up like a drunk person who was just starting to nod off. But like her eyes don't really find you, she's kind of just staring off vacantly past your hair for a minute. And then it's like, yeah, so it's everything's fine.
All right, well, let's get maybe we could get you to oh heck, I don't know. One thing at a time. You're fine, Joy. Just go home, get some rest. Do you want to go and meet your sister there, Rat Queen? Your Highness? Your Majesty?
Whispering in your ears. We are friends now. Keep your promise. Tell the others. And then she's gone.
All right. Well,
I have-
in the interim during the next scene, then my character will be Jordan going and attempting to find Blue.
I kind of hate to stack things over and over on you, Garrett, but I was thinking we were going to have a moment with Blue, and I think that Hope has this kind of a little cottage that has been built up. Probably people helped him build it, and inside there's like just a very small pallet for him to sleep on, but most of it is set up so that there's all of his oils, all of his various things that he uses to help other people, as well as he does have etched out symbols and what appears to be a thaumaturgical circle type of thing. What sort of accuracy he might possibly have to know what a thaumaturgical circle looks like, who can say, but it looks impressive. And he's currently there and sitting in the middle of it. He has a they used to call him a jam box, but a radio tape player sort of thing. And he has plugged into it an MP3 player. And he's holding, come on, I know you can get one more, just one more. And as nothing's happening, he's concentrating so hard. Goddess, you took him away from me already. Do you have to take everything away from me that's left of him too? And I'm going to do a weak move of, shoot, I screwed it down. Appeal to prophecy or cosmic forces, which I would guess might be the Maelstrom. But unfortunately, I think Avery just stepped off, didn't she?
I'm back, actually. I just arrived.
Okay. Which, for a little bit of knowledge, is that when Hope was on the way here with his husband, they were attacked, and Hope was beaten rather badly, but they killed Todd. And this MP3 player was the music on it is what Hope listens to every day. And despite all of his efforts, he can't get a song to come out of it anymore. But I'm going to attempt, and maybe it'll have something to do with Blue walking in at the same time. That calling to prophecy, appealing to prophecy and cosmic forces.
And so are you holding the MP3 player and kind of like staring intently at it, or?
Yeah.
Is there something you say or something you're doing psychically?
I concentrate on, and in the past, it would give that little bit of a glow, and I could go through it, and I pretty much stopped even trying to go to different songs. It's just his favorite song, and I could get it to play that song. It would come through, and I could hear it again. And when it's not working, I'm appealing to Goddess. Why must you take everything away?
Would this be the time for the digital realm?
Yeah, this should be the digital realm, not the Maelstrom. I agree. Take it away.
Okay.
I don't know who has the digital realm.
Yoshi, you're muted still.
I've got the digital realm. So I think what you hear from the MP3 player is it's not so much the favorite song that you listen to, but what comes up is sort of like almost shortwave radio, like people talking back and forth is what you hear on it. And so they're talking about you can sort of like they're talking almost in code and with like code names, but like you can hear like it going back and forth of things that are essentially along the chatter of like we're approaching the target, things are coming up, we're ready for, like we should be rather ready, we've gathered some of the things along those lines, and that's kind of the messages that are going back for it. But it's like cutting in and out and every now and then, so you know they're going somewhere, but it's a little bit stronger than the radio waves themselves. Like the sound is a little bit more clear than the last time you remember the song. The song had started to fade and maybe go out of like speed a little bit. Maybe it was a little bit slow, but this is like real time, like crisp in terms of like the pacing is right of the sound and so on.
And then maybe to jump in, so it's kind of like cutting in and out of this radio chatter, and then it cuts again to Todd's song, which is this like Frank Sinatra like crooner ballad, but it's that like faded and staticky, like it's coming from very far away, and it's kind of like it's a few beats per minute slower than it's supposed to be. Like it was one of your wedding songs, right? You know what that song is supposed to sound like. But that song switches on. It means you know that Todd is there with you in some way.
And I
You're
think
still looking out for me, aren't you?
and right when it's supposed to cut out, like at the end of the song, it's maybe 10 seconds before it just stops abruptly, and you just hear somebody on the radio chatter again, a louder, clear voice that says, "We got him."
Thank you, sweetie. And I suppose I turn around and Blue, how long have you been watching me?
Just the last 10 seconds. As I said, to whom are you talking?
Blue. We're in danger, Blue. Someone's coming. Todd and the goddess, they've let me know. We have to get ready. Someone is coming for us.
What do you mean?
They're outside and they're ready to get us. I've heard them, Blue. We have to protect ourselves or they're going to take everything from us. And I'm not losing anything else.
I think you're not okay, and I thought I had a bad day. Hope? What about some of the mushrooms?
Not now, Blue. We have to get our weapons. We have to warn everyone.
But Hope, honestly, bad reputation about your nightmares, like telling everybody about what's going on in your mind. And I have to admit I like it, but in public I can't say that loudly. I mean, I have a responsibility for many people here.
They can say whatever they want to about me, Blue. We have to protect them.
Just wait another night. It can't be that urgent.
Another night.
Okay, but let me first get out here, okay? That it doesn't look like as if I was responsible for this, right? Okay?
Whatever you think's best, Blue.
Okay. And then I give you a red kiss on your cheek. Through a mask.
What's a red kiss? What is that like?
The red kiss is that I have this beard reds have, and I nuzzle my beard against you, which is the most intimate a red can do.
I will squeeze your hand. Get ready. They're coming.
And I'm leaving. 5 minutes, okay? Then I get out and try to get out of the way before anybody associates whatever you are talking about with me.
All right. I'm going to head out, and whoever I see first, especially if I see someone who I know is military capable, someone like Red or Cookie or probably
let's say it's Cookie. Cookie is like really tense because of this this news that Blue maybe can't get meds anymore for me. So I'm like smoking and like walking around, like pacing back and forth outside of my apartment, and maybe it's like a really humid, rainy, like it's light rain, but it's really like heavy, humid air, and I'm like smoking and walking around, and occasionally like pounding like my own wall, like in like frustration.
Cookie, I've been given a message. I've heard people outside of the community, their own walkie-talkies, I think, but I could hear them talking to each other. I think they're coming to attack us. We have to get everyone ready. We have to get the weapons distributed. They're going to come and they're going to take everything from us.
And Cookie was really like tense and pacing, but immediately like snaps into this other mode, this like more professional mode, and just like puts the cigarette out on his own like exterior wall, lets it fall into the mud and the trash. Like he's got like always like, you know, gelled back hair, or like pomaded back hair, and he kind of like, you know, like smooths it back, and like immediately like that gesture makes him seem like he's 3 inches taller, like when he stands back up, you know, and he's like that's simple. That's just a matter of getting posts up at the blockades. Listen, Torch, you don't need to worry. As long as I'm here, you're safe. And then he kind of looks off at the cloudy sky, and again mutters to himself, as long as I'm here. It's just
Cookie.
And I think I'm just looking at these moves here. I'm gonna beg for mercy again. And he's like, the only thing is, I mean, I just don't know how long that's gonna be, the way Blue's treating me.
What's wrong?
I'm old, Hope. I have a lot of children of a sort sprinkled through this community. And I thought that if I put in all those years, taking them under wing, taking care of them, that they'd be there for me. But I guess Daddy's just being tossed out like all this trash we stand amidst.
Cookie, you're one of the most important people I know, and one of the bravest. And you're never going to be alone as long as I'm here.
I mean, I'll man those blockades. I will put up a fight as long as my heart keeps ticking, which the fact that Blue's cut me off of those meds and no one else seems to be stepping up to provide them, I just don't know if that's going to be long enough, Hope.
We'll find something. I'll keep looking. And if people are coming here, it means we're not hidden anymore. So there's no use in us shrinking away. We're going to have to defend ourselves here, and then we may have to go and find what we need outside.
So you're saying you'll find me my meds then? And it suddenly becomes clear, right? Like he is playing this sad sob story, but really this is a deal for him, right? This is, I'll save your ass yet again if you get me my meds. But of course he's not saying that.
I will do everything I can to do it. You know that I won't rest until I succeed. I'm going to help you. I promise.
and he's like, I'll get my gun.
I'll get everyone else. And I'm going to start circulating around, and my idea is to try and use one of my hard moves. I should have gotten a token with my, I didn't put it in, with my appealing to prophecy, and I'm going to incite my followers to violence. And if this does not end up being a thing, I am going to be in the deep shit.
Okay, so while the followers are being incited to take to the roadways armed, are there other scenes that are happening?
Depot, did you want to do the scene with Burroughs and Ty?
Sure. Like I imagine it opens up, and I think it's the same place that was similar before with Hope. They're like in the room with Ty lying down on a bed, but I think Ty looks way worse than she did before. I think maybe she's unconscious and not really responsive. And so like, I think I lead you in, like we open the door, and like I lead you in, and like, what kind of lighting would it be? I think it's almost like I light like a candle instead of like an actual like light, like overhead light bulb light, and bring it in, and that's how the room's lit, by a couple of different candles. And I bring you in and sit you down in the same place where Hope was, on one side of the bed. And I'm like, she's gotten worse. I tried to help her, and everything I did, it seemed to work for a little bit, but it didn't help. It doesn't help anymore. I'm just afraid that the things that I've done to help her are what's causing her to not be able to wake up anymore. That what I've done is making her scared of the world, and I just want her back. If you can take those things away, maybe she can wake up.
I believe that I can do these things, and you understand that you're asking for, you want her to be with you again. You understand time is very limited.
Time is limited, but any time is more than nothing. Any amount.
Good. So I'm going to kind of, I don't know, wave my hands and, excuse me, hands and try to hear the brain whispers. Does Ty want to be relieved of her pain?
I don't know if I can answer that question.
Anybody in the peanut gallery?
Somebody else want to choose?
I can play Ty again if no one else wants to.
I guess the question is she
Ty,
hanging on, like desperately clinging to life, or is she just not dead yet?
I think most days she's able to hold a conversation and only like kind of gap out on it like intermittently.
Okay.
And her range of motion varies day by day, from being able to like kind of push herself up in bed to eat food to like being able to walk outside and smell the fresh air and sit in a chair for 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, okay. All right, so there are...
And I think she doesn't have like access to a wheelchair or anything like that, because there's not a lot. So either she's able to get there on her own 2 feet, or she's not day by day.
All right, so there are good days still. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. I'll probably join you. Basically, I'll just kind of sit on the edge of the bed and be like, now you understand that, let me just make sure I'm getting this right. You understand that what the Psychic Maelstrom desires from us most is intimacy. is the joining of selves in all possible ways. Yes.
I mean, I guess if that's what you say.
Well, that has certainly been my experience. These abilities that I have are not. I can't just walk up to someone and pull memories out of them. They need to be in a certain liminal state. So, I need you to lie with her, to embrace her, to make her remember what it is that she enjoys about being alive. And I will do my best to soothe both of your pain.
And I think Ty is like, she's like, I know exactly where in my body these memories are held right now.
And I hold your hand and kind of like look at you and then look at Burroughs. And you just need us to be us, right?
Yes, essentially.
And so I think I hold you and I look back at you, Ty, and just start going over stories like remember the time when and things like that, and talking and like sharing past things that we've done.
And I think that, okay, so one thing I wanted to mention is it seems like you've hit Burroughs' lure of inviting Burroughs to use their psychic gifts on you. So you totally get a token. Just don't have to fight that. But I think that Ty like smiles and nods as you start mentioning stories, and then like with great difficulty kind of like grabs the edge rail of the bed that you've kind of nailed on there and the other edge of the bed, and kind of just like sidles over to make space for you. But it's like, it's strenuous, and it takes her like at least 45 seconds, to like actually shift over enough.
And I wait there sort of like patiently, because the last time I tried to help her with it, she chided me for not letting her do it on her own. And so I wait there patiently, and then as her hands relax off the side of the rail where I'm next to, I slowly and very carefully, not to like get up next to her so that we can lay next to each other, and kind of like bring my arm around her to kind of hold her tight, and still talking about the stories of like, remember when we did this and we went to go see the sea and the ocean and how vast and beautiful it was. And just like my voice is getting softer and closer as like I kind of just like hold you close and embrace you.
And I think she kind of like curls into your arms and kisses your neck. And the way that this illness is progressing, I think like her lips are softer than human lips are supposed to be. And like if you're not delicate when you kiss her, like some of the skin will kind of like almost like just be like slide off. But she presses her like soft lips up against your neck.
Yeah. And I kiss her back and hold her gently and closely as I kind of like look just over to Burroughs just gently, and I'm like kind of like just nod as I continue whispering about past things that we've done.
So Burroughs is going to, I'm going to spend a token to use one of my strong moves. I'm going to use my psychic gifts with artful precision, and I'm basically going to, I'm going to find the recent chunk of memories where in both of their minds, Depot is hurting Ty, and I'm going to just take those away. Into myself, of course, because it's not like they just disappear. And yeah, so from Depot, I'm taking the memory of what you did to hurt her, and from Ty, I'm taking the memory of being hurt by Depot, and I'm leaving behind the act of love. So they're unclear on the specifics. They both just know that Depot tried something to fix Ty that did not work out, and everything is just going to be blurry around the specifics of that.
And I think if it's okay to add in this detail, that for a moment there's just this like faint, high-pitched, like screaming, thrumming noise kind of thing, like rattling from her rib cage.
Cool.
As the pain leaves.
So when that is done, basically, when I've drawn this into myself, I assume there is like, relief was how I described it earlier. So I assume there's a moment of, oh, wow, at which point I'm like stumbling out the door, vomiting. Because I'm now living all of these memories from both sides. So
Yeah.
I have the Psychic Maelstrom right now, but I probably shouldn't be playing it in the scene. Does anyone want to switch me setting elements? I just feel like it might be relevant right now.
I take it over.
Okay, and what am I getting from you?
The scarcity is here.
Awesome, okay.
So when you're stumbling outside, you yourself are waiting outside with a waste basket, so you can throw in. A younger self of yourself is patting on your back, saying it's all will be fine. All will be fine. And then the spirit disappears again, slowly.
Does the wastebasket disappear? Or did I just like?
No, but it wasn't a waste basket, but yeah, just a bin which was standing there.
Okay. So yeah, all right. So I'm basically just throwing up whatever food I had because the pain is kind of racking through my body. And I kind of envision like, I'm actually going to throw down a weak move. As I'm stumbling away, there's a little bit of leakage. I'm going to temporarily lose control of my psychic abilities. Not in the sense that I'm just sucking away memories from anything, but the brain whispers are maybe going out and people are getting flashes of pain and to a certain extent flashes of either betrayal or self. Or not betrayal of, I guess betrayal of another or betrayal of self or both. Nothing enough to give anybody a concrete idea of what the hell just happened, but everybody is very suddenly unsettled.
If they weren't unsettled before already, those who were unsettled before, they give repercussion to you a lot, and you can feel from each of us, you can feel their worst current pain, which is a disaster in the case of hope.
Yeah.
I also think, I was gonna say, I also think in like that projections of like psychic little bits, there's like little flashes of like electricity going on through here. And I think for at least you hope, the MP3 player, like you hear that little bit, like a 5-second burst of that song from your husband, from Todd. And like it just stops again. Like you just hear just a bit of that song.
I'm still fighting, sweetie. I'm still fighting.
Then for you, Jordan, I think there's probably something you hear from being back in the society. Maybe it's like when they were actually going around in those communities, in those gated communities, there's some sort of like maybe announcements that would go over the radio or something like that. And you hear one of those announcements just coming out of the sort of like the ether as it kind of like projects out.
Now, I hope you're actually like scurrying around in town collecting people, right?
Yeah, I'm out there. They're coming. We have to get ready. We have to get to arm to the blockades. We have to be prepared. They're coming.
All right. Well, so at some point you see me kind of stumbling around, and like I kind of stagger back, and we make eye contact, such as it is, and I just look horrified, and I just turn and just continue shuffling, basically in the exact opposite direction from you.
And the Psychic Maelstrom is Askew. Why is that? What is the worst what happened to you today?
You asking Burroughs?
Yeah.
To Burroughs.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really in a position to try to converse with it, but I'm just kind of like, nah, not right now, not right now. And I'm just stumbling. Like this is just too much for me as a human. So I'm just
I think
basically
as I
finding a place to collapse for an hour.
As I see you leave, I recognize that pain in you. And despite me grabbing pretty much everyone, I sort of nod and realize you've already done your part. So I won't try and inflict on you while you're suffering. I'll move on. Come on, we have to go.
Appreciate it.
And meanwhile, there is a revolt going on in the Bicycle Red gang. And because when they do something immoral or violent, it bleeds directly into the Psychic Maelstrom. And that might also be a reason why everything is so impure currently in the Maelstrom around us. And you see like how the Blue Queen is beaten up by the Yellow Queen and their fellows. And violence is spreading through the gang, and the gang is split in half. So it's a dark corner in our remote place. There was light, it would be red because of the blood in the air. I hope
So
I
they
survive.
are they actually like fighting, like literally fighting in the street amongst each other?
Yes. The Yellow Queen is up for revolt, and I spent one of my tokens against each other. Oh,
Gary, you froze there for me, and I didn't hear what you said there. Could you repeat some of that?
my gang is in this bloody battle. I don't know what you missed, but yeah, I hope I survive. But it's the violence outburst is quite large, and I spent a token to bring my people into battle. It's one of my strong moves. I hope you could hear me.
Jordan, I'm wondering maybe maybe you are caught in the middle of this rat gang war on the street that's breaking out as psychic emanations are pulsing erratically through the place. And meanwhile, Hope is trying to rally people to like head out into the wastes because there are outsiders coming. But it's probably failing to do much because people are like psychically shocked and a war is breaking out on our streets. You just got here. You don't really know that city very well, and you were like right in the middle of this gang fight. What do you do?
Well, what I know about the gang is that, what was it, Yellow that I talked to? That Yellow wants me to go get medical supplies. So if Blue is waging some kind of war, then that means Blue is the bad guy, which means I need to track down Blue and make them stop.
Yeah, looks like it. And it's easy to get me because I'm fleeing because my people are losing the fight. And you can easily identify me because my hair is blue.
True.
And not yellow.
You guys do make it easy. Excellent.
Yeah.
So as soon as I see you, I am just going to like shout across the street, and I'm going to use a weak move and threaten or coerce someone. And I'm just going to say, hey, Blue, get over here. Your time's done. Yellow's the one who's going to lead us into prosperity. All right.
What are you talking about? You see that I'm injured. Okay, I see. You're on her side. I shouldn't let that happen. Where's Hope? And then I bow down. And then I'm ready to go up and spend my last token to get you killed. I start beating you down. Down on the ground. But it seems to be a longer process. They drag you back into your truck.
Sorry, wait. At that point, Cookie has been watching this fight and is kind of like is trying to break people up. But you said you try and take Jordan down, and at that point, I'm going to spend one of my tokens to draw a weapon before anyone can react. I mean, actually, I think that there's the moment where Yellow is like coming up, and you're like clobbering Jordan, and I actually just have like 2 guns, and like one at Yellow, one at Blue, and I'm like, this stops now. So looks like you're stopping. Who's playing Yellow in this scene?
I'll play Yellow since I'm unlikely to show up.
Awesome.
And so like you point the gun at me, and like I kind of like cautiously raise my hands, but like you can see that like my eyes are sort of like darting around, looking for an opportunity, just for you to slip up just that ever so bit.
And I say, sorry, Cookie, we're friends.
And I say, well, good friends don't crumble under pressure. Listen, you little rat shits. I need you to put this behind you for a minute because there are bigger things at stake. And I'm kind of waving my guns around a little bit, like to emphasize my points. But they're always still like trained on you and coming back to you.
Yeah, and with that, I sort of like shift my shoulders just slightly so I'm not facing you anymore, Cookie, and I'm more facing back towards Blue again. I'm like, see, he knows what's right, and he knows that getting the medicines is the most important thing. So
Exactly.
Stop with your whining and let's get together and actually do what needs to get done.
Hope, are you there as well? What are you doing?
I've seen these people fighting. I've seen Cookie finally get some little bit of order. I'm going to look back and say, we were all thrown out, cast aside, abused, and we brought that same shit right here into our own homes, into our own hearts. You have to realize we are all we have. And if we're going to start hitting our own sisters, we're going to start killing our own brothers, then we have nothing. You might as well just wallow in the mud like pigs. We have to be one. We have to be united. And it's a little off of what the ritual is generally used for, but I think I'm going to try to begin invoking tripping the circuit to make this energy all flowing between us. And so I'll begin this ritual, and I'm going to reach over and I think Jordan might be closest to me. And you're new. You've probably never seen me do this before. I'm going to grab your hand. And we are one.
And at that point, Cookie is like mutters amen, like exhaustedly, and like lowers the guns as if he's been like the only voice of reason up until now.
I'm just kind of standing there, like I jump a little bit when you grab my hand, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, hey, yeah, whatever works. I just wanted to get medicine.
I can't not get in on this at this late moment. So basically, we mentioned earlier that it's like I'm breathing in blood from the Psychic Maelstrom because of all the bloodlust around me. So I come stumbling back out of wherever I had collapsed, and I scan the crowd. Again, nobody's entirely certain if I can even see, including myself. And I burn my other token, and I abruptly summon the Psychic Maelstrom. And everyone here, with the exception of Depot and Ty, who are off in their own little bubble and perfectly safe. Everybody in town is suddenly overwhelmed with the feeling of hurting and being hurt by their closest loved one. And essentially it just becomes a feeling of we're hurting ourselves when we hurt each other. And it just explodes out from me and blows everybody's mind. Not in a literal sense, but and at that point, I'm just unconscious.
May I make a sacrifice, a personal one at this point? I think the society here, our community needs to change, and somebody has to step aside for that. And I want to go to my best friend, to Cookie, and take him into my arms. And I'm afraid it's a weak move, and Cookie is taking it from the wrong direction and thinks that I want to get the gun. But it's up to you if you want to shoot at me or let me crumble on your feet.
You're muted, Avery.
Yeah, so I see you coming towards me, and there's a moment where I panic and I go for my gun, but I'm gonna ask one of my regular moves. I take a second to take stock. What does your character need right now?
I need a hug. Ooh, good to have a regular move in place here.
Yeah. So I go for my gun, and then I realize that like that's not what's going on for you at all. And so I pull you in, and I'm like I'm standing tall and strong, and all of a sudden like I'm on this rock, and you kind of like collapse into my arms, and I'm like maybe up until now it seemed like we were the same height, but in this hug somehow I'm just like so much bigger than you are, and I stroke your blue hair, and I say, don't worry, Daddy's here.
And I think in that moment of calm, you hear off in the distance sort of a high pitch, like hum, like an electric hum in the distance. And you can also hear behind it a really like a two-stroke engine, like a really high like motor engine, a couple of them like revving behind it. And you can see like maybe in the distance there's a couple of lights that are coming up alongside the old road, and even through like the foliage.
And I'm going to expend my last token to call in a timely favor from a powerful friend. And while I've got blue clutched, I just look over to yellow, and I'm like, yellow, this is your charge to lead. What do we do next?
And I turn and look and see like from the direction of the hum. I'm like, all right, everybody get what you can. We're heading out. We're going to meet it head on, and we're going to protect our community. It's what we got. We're here for each other, and now's the time.
Tripping circuit.
Blue, I'm holding you, and I've just made this like executive call going over your authority, like assigning like a leadership role for the moment to yellow. And I'm just assuming that you have complicated feelings about that, so I'm spending my final token to ask, how could I put your character at ease?
Take me as your pet.
I'm
used to a hierarchy, and I need a new hierarchy if I'm out of the other one.
Yeah. And I'm like, so I'm like, your time's up, baby girl. Like you need to step back and let her handle things. This is bigger than you now, okay? And I'm stroking your hair as I say that.
Go down to my knees. Hands on my lips. And nod. And enjoy hope's presence with all of us. This seems to be a way forward. A new arrangement.
And I think maybe that's where our game ends.
Cool. Awesome.
Holy
That was
cow,
really
that was unbelievably awesome.
I like the way it all came together.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
That was intense. What a beautiful game.
For my very last action, I'm going to spend my token to reveal a previously unmentioned skill and say that I was like a high-ranking general in the military or something like that, and I'm just going to start barking orders.
Great.
Having a new order.
Cool.
Cool. Oh.
Avery, should I stop the broadcast then?
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.